In this video, I'm going to talk to you about our latest release, AB Phaser, and how you can use it to grab your mono or stereo signals and blow them up into the realm of immersive audio. I'm Alejandro, and we are the Audio Brewers. AB Phaser works natively in Ambisonics, meaning that it doesn't matter if you are working for a stereo mix, for a binaural mix, for a surround mix, for a Dolby Atmos mix, or even for a custom speaker array mix. You will always have a faithful translation of the sound design that you have created in the studio. So for this video, I have recorded 3 short pieces of guitar, and now I'm going to apply AB Phaser to them so that you can see how I treat them in a stereo setup and then in a Dolby Atmos setup. Let's get to the DAW and let's explore it. So for the first sample of music, I have a clean guitar playing just a very simple rhythm. And as you can see, it's a mono file in a stereo track, and the stereo track is going to my stereo output. You can see here that I have my Dolby Atmos stuff, but I'm not using them yet because I'm just sticking to stereo for the time being. So in my stereo track, the first thing I'm going to do is add AB Phaser. And as you can see, it has loaded as a stereo input and stereo output because it's in a stereo track, but because my file is mono, I'm gonna set it to input in mono and output in stereo. So out of the box, the sound will be like this. So yeah, as you can hear, this is a normal phaser, it's just working in mono. You can see here the visualization of the sound is just putting the guitar in front monophonically, and it's just swirling the phase. But now I'm just going to improvise a type of sound, and then I'm just going to explore what I did. So I'm just gonna press play and just play with AB Phaser till I get something that I like. Okay, this sounds pretty cool. Let's explore what I did here. As you could hear, you have a monophonic guitar that was just centered, and I just made it wider in the phaser, and I just started making the phaser a little bit slow and a little bit prevalent on the low frequencies. So the first thing I did was play with the width rate, with the height rate, and with the depth rate, the 3 of them to be slow, but not at the same time. By them not being at the same rate, it means that the phase swirls will complete at different speeds, and that will mean that in each dimensional plane, the phase swirls are going to be very distinct to each other. Another thing that I did is lower the stages of the phaser to 2, because when I put it in 2 stages, I just feel that the phase is going a little bit more smooth, and I really like that. And finally, I increased the depth on the height so that I can have above my head the phase swirls going really deep. And additionally, I set the center frequencies to be a little bit on the low side, so that the phaser can be a little bit towards the mid to low range of the guitar. Finally, I increased the feedback in the 3-dimensional planes just so that it is a little bit more intense. And finally, I increased the buoyancy of my signal. Our buoyancy algorithm is a really cool tool when you have a mono-dimensional signal, such as a mono signal, or for when you have a bidimensional signal, such as a stereo signal, where you don't have any information on the height plane. So what the buoyancy algorithm does is it sends some of the sounds to the adjacent dimensional planes so that you can expand your signal in the 3-dimensional field, and then so that you can play with the phase swirls in other dimensional planes where the signal doesn't exist otherwise. Finally, I set my mix to 81% because I want a little bit of the dry signal passing through so that I can blend between the monophonic center front signal with the 3-dimensional phaser. Oh yeah, and another thing that I did was also to reverse one of the dimensional poles of my width plane so that I could have my phase swirls in the width dimensional plane go from left to right so that, you know, you increase the stereo sensation. Let's listen to an A-B comparison. And if we could add a little bit of delay to this signal so that it becomes a little bit more rhythmic, it could work pretty cool. Let's just try it. I'm going to add my A-B delay, but I'm going to add it before the phaser because I want the bounces to happen before the phaser happens. So I'm just going to move the phaser down. And because I have put the delay before the phaser, the first thing I'm going to make sure is that the input and the outputs of the signals are treated correctly. So now that my delay is my first insert, I'm going to set its input to mono and its output to stereo. And then the phaser is going to already be receiving a stereo signal because the delay is already making it stereo. So I'm going to set my phaser to stereo and output to stereo. So let's just try and find a delay that could work nicely. So what I did here is add my A-B delay and use the 4 delay lines so that they bounce the signal to the front left, front right, rear left, and rear right, you know. So it works pretty cool because every time you have the guitar strumming in the front center, the signal goes like boom, 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 you know. And additionally, you have the A-B phaser doing its phase swirls. So this works really good. I'm gonna keep these settings, but I'm going to move on to my second file. So for that, I'm just gonna deactivate these plugins and start from scratch with new settings for my next file. So for the next recording, I have a distorted guitar. It's a little bit heavier, and I just wanted to try the phaser and see how it works in a distorted type of situation. So the original signal sounds like this. Okay, so I have my monophonic guitar, it's distorted, and that's pretty much it. It's a clean signal. And the first thing I'm going to do is add A-B phaser to this recording. I'm gonna change the input to be mono because my guitar is in mono, and out of the box, it will sound like this. So I'm going to find a setting that works nicely, and then we're going to explore what I did. Okay, this sounds cool, so let's just explore what I did here. First of all, you could notice that I gave a lot of prevalence to the height dimensional plane, because in my Dolby Atmos mix or in my binaural mix, I want the phase swirls to happen a lot above your head, and I made it really, really slow. It happens over 16 bars, the swirl. And I also reversed the top and the bottom swirls so that I can have a sensation of the phase going from top to bottom. Additionally, another thing that I did is push the center of frequency a little bit on the high side, because this guitar has already a lot of mid and low information, so I just wanted to give the phaser a little bit of prevalence on the high frequencies. Also, I gave a lot of feedback and depth to my height dimensional plane, and I made them considerably louder because I really want the above the head type of sensation to really, really stand. Finally, I increased the buoyancy so that I could have some of that guitar really, really going on above my head, and I decreased the mix to be 50-50 so that I can have 50% of my clean, distorted guitar in front of me, and then the other 50% is just whatever is happening with the phaser. And so let's listen to it once more. Let's move on to our third file. So I'm just gonna deactivate this plugin, and I'm gonna go to my final file. Let's see how it sounds with the clean signal. Okay, so again, you have a very simple rhythmic guitar. It has a little bit of distortion, it's really bright, and again, it's monophonic, so it's in the center. So first thing I'm going to do is insert AB phaser, and I'm gonna set the input to be mono because the file is in mono, and then I'm going to find a tone that works well with it. Okay, this sounds nice. So what I did here is, first of all, to create really fast phasers in my 3 dimensions, but again, the phasers are not going at the same speed because I really want each of the dimensions to stand out. Each of the phasers have a lot of stages, very little depth, and no feedback. And like that, I'm creating a sound that is a little bit like a Leslie type of sound, because you have this vibrato going on, but it's very, very discreet. I increase the buoyancy to 100% because I really want the guitar to feel all my mix, and I decrease the mix to 40% because I want the vibrato to be really, really in the background, but it really, really works immersively. So if we listen to it again, it will sound like this. And another thing that we could do is add a little bit of reverb to this vibrato. I think it will work really good. So I'm going to add AB Duverb to the signal. And again, I'm going to put AB Duverb before the phaser. And I'm going to make the same adjustments I did before. So because Duverb is the first insert, I'm going to set its input to mono. And because phaser comes after Duverb, it's already receiving a stereo signal, so I'm going to set it to stereo. So I'm just going to add a little bit of reverb to the signal so that it can have a little bit more of depth and see how it works. Yeah, so a little bit of reverb really helps these vibrations to stand out.